You boys got lucky today. You know, wasn't allowed to play. Doctors didn't clear me, but next year, watch out. No, well done, guys. It was a really good game. Really good to see you guys playing smart as well. That's what I really like to see. So, me, I was a weird kid, right, growing up. I was in here before Steen was every single day, training for basketball. I like training more than the actual game. Okay, maybe that's not weird because basketball's the best sport, right? But you know how I was really weird? Because I liked year 12. I mean, I was starting to dunk. I was starting to get looks from girls. I was the only Indian boy in maths tutoring, so I guess that really helps. But I think things really started to go wrong, and I really noticed they started to go wrong when I started feeling really, really tired, like just before exams. I was studying 3 months out. Suddenly I was sleeping for 16 hours a day. Then I started noticing my basketball, after just one court sprint, my legs were feeling like lead, and I really knew something was wrong one day when I was sitting in the backyard patting my dog's fur and the phone rang. And this call came and someone on the other end told me that I had to go to emergency right away. So we went, and I went through emergency quick. Even at that age, I knew something was bad. I saw this thing on the bottom saying bone marrow failure, and I looked at Dad and asked him, "Is that leukemia?" At that point, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "No." The next day, this man walked in. He told me, "The good news is, Nikhil, that you're 17 and you have leukemia. But the bad news is, you're 17 and you have leukemia." And I was shook. But then I asked him that question that every cancer patient wants to ask but fears. What are my chances? He told me 10 to 20% that you're going to live the next 5 years. I mean, I cried. There was nothing else I could do. Everyone around me was telling me, "Nikhil, you're strong, you can do it. You've made it, you can do it." But I was 17 and just told I probably wouldn't live to see 21. What did they know what I was going through? The only thing I could think about was, why me? I was just 17. I hadn't done anything to hurt anyone. And you know, I stayed in that bed. I stayed crying for days, for a week afterwards. And I wanted to get out of it, right? I wanted to see another way of looking at things. But at that point, all I could see in my future was pain and probable death. There wasn't really much to look forward to. But the thing that got me out of that was this simple thought process that I tried one day. I decided, okay, let's take a step back. Let's look at what had happened to me as if it had happened to someone else. And you know, from that position, I could really start looking at what I had in front of me, looking at why I was doing these things, questioning them. And when I did, I realized, you know, all that pain, all that anger, all that fear, it was coming from me, my brain, my mind. Which meant that I could control it, right? Why was I doing that to myself? What was it accomplishing? Nothing other than making me feel shitter about my situation. But at the same time, I still had chemo coming up in a few days. You know, there was a lot of pain ahead of me. So I took a step back and I questioned all my doubts and fears about that as well. Chemo was coming up. Yeah, it was gonna suck. But wasn't it also medicine? The very thing that could get me out of this, right? I was 17 and I was told I had leukemia. I felt cursed for having it, but wasn't that also a blessing? I could get the hardest treatments possible and come out the other side still standing. Maybe the bad news was I was 17 and I had leukemia, but the good news was I was 17 when I had leukemia. And you know, that thought process, that's helped me so much over the years. After relapse, after losing an eye, cutting off a 3rd rib due to another cancer, it's because of that ability to always see that second way of looking at things that I'm still here today. And here's the thing about this doesn't just have to help you get through tragedies like it helped me. This can help you through anything. I used it to get into med school the year after being diagnosed. I used it to become a poker pro, which I am still now. And I use it nowadays in my business as well. And you guys can definitely use this in basketball. Because all I did, it was a simple 2-step process. Taking a step back, going beyond what other players are doing, questioning all your options going forward, questioning how you can improve your game the most, and then going ahead and doing it. And the key to doing it, it won't happen overnight, right? So you've got to give yourself time, give yourselves a long-term goal to get better, to become the smartest and best players on your team, and also let yourself be human, because you can't win everything. Instead, look at failure as an opportunity to learn.
Now, this isn't just some kid who's beating cancer saying this. This process is backed by solid science. Taking a step back, the act of self-distancing is shown to reduce blood flow to the region of your brain that's responsible for referencing yourself. It makes you more objective, more logical. You get less blood flow to the emotional centers too. You know, the reason why older people are more confident and stable in their decision making is because they factor emotion less into their decisions. It gets you to a place where you're looking for ways to improve. Exposure therapy, ACT, some other modalities used to treat people with severe anxieties and even PTSD is centered around viewing fear and failure as an opportunity to learn. And the best thing about all this is that neuroplasticity, the power of your brain to form new cortical maps, completely new responses to new scenarios, makes whatever you put your mind to for just a few weeks become automatic, your normal thought process. It doesn't take will or brain power. And when you set this long-term goal of you becoming a better shooter, a better player, the happiest, healthiest version of yourself, your mind automatically starts releasing more and more dopamine the closer you get to it. So not only do you form a good automatic habit, a new way of thinking that's just as hard to break as a bad one, it also becomes easier and easier to do. And you can do this for anything in life.
I'm going to teach you guys how to do this in basketball in 3 main ways, right? In your preparation, I want you guys, first off, before you even step on the court, to take a step back and think about your game. Now, the first thing you guys may think is, you may doubt that you don't have the athletic, physique to get into the NBA. But let's take a step back and question that, right? Some of the best players that have ever played, Larry Bird, Steve Nash, some of the most impactful players in the court these days, our very own Della Vedova. I mean, if you got a random person on the street and you train them up the same amount they did, they would be the same level of, athletic talent as they have. There's no reason why you guys can't be those people. And the thing is, because you guys aren't as gifted as them, that's actually a strength, because it means that now, while you're a teenager, you guys are going to be focusing on your training. You guys are going to be focusing on this when you can improve the most. Now, you guys may think we don't have the resources of NBA teams or Kings, Joeys, Scotts, but you guys have something that those other teams will never have. That's your brains. All right, let's use them. Take a step back, analyze your game. You guys have an NBL player as a coach who's taken 30 kids to college. Use him, right? You guys have an amazing weights gym with an amazing weights coach. They'll look at you and they'll tell you the drills you need to do to get there. And then focus when you're on the court, when you're in the gym. Get that mind-muscle connection going. Now, it seems like it's a hard thing to do, but remember, all of this becomes automatic in time. Your brain's neuroplasticity is such that you'll form new cortical maps that will essentially lead to you guys doing this automatically. And that allows you to get to the next level, all right? And that's being the smartest player on the court. So everyone has this idea of basketball IQ, talent, instinct. But let's take a step back and question that. Is that something that you just naturally have? I mean, we weren't like cavemen throwing coconuts up to fucking kill mammoths, right? That wasn't us back in the day. There's no basketball gene. We all came out and we learned it. Basketball IQ, the biggest difference between someone with 140 IQ and 100 is that they can juggle 7 versus 6 things in their heads at once, right? You'll never have to juggle that much in basketball at all. And all of you guys can be the smartest player in the court. How do you do that? You watch basketball, but you don't just watch. You question. Why are people doing the things they're doing? Why did they get that open shot? Why does that player cut really hard for that basket, right? Don't just watch Ben Heyman in the film room and listen to what he's saying. Don't just sit in those 5 versus 0s. Don't just watch NBA highlights and dunks and think that's amazing. Instead, actively question why. Use every time you're watching basketball, every time off the court, to improve. And that means instead of watching the sixes, just admiring the game, having fun, you guys will automatically be questioning, why are they using Horns plays all the time? They have Embiid, right? Who's one of the most skilled centers in the game. They have Ben Simmons, who can't shoot, but he's got a mismatch on every single point guard he plays on. The Sixers Horns offense that makes everyone look in. That's why JJ Redick gets open shots. You guys are doing that in your zone. And let's use that in your zone. Hit those gaps. Look actively, threatening on that court. You'll get those passes. You'll get those shots. You'll become smarter for it.
Again, you don't have to start from scratch. You can cheat. Ask Ben why you're making that cut. Figure out what it's trying to accomplish. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to these 3 channels. People will break down Coach Daniel, the Lakers film room. At the very least, they'll show you how teams are winning. Same goes for weight training. You don't have to spend hours looking through papers like I had to write a book. Some qualified dudes out there have compressed numerous systematic reviews and years of experience into a 5-minute video. You can have that in the background while you play Fortnite or Instagram or whatever you kids are playing these days.
The Rockets, why did they almost beat the Golden State Warriors? Was it their front office making really good decisions, allowing them to play switch ball or all on D and disrupt the Golden State offense? Yes, but it was also CP3. It was also Trevor Ariza. They were communicating off the ball. They were switching off it so that they wouldn't get mismatches in the first place. And that's the big reason why they've succeeded. They treated every single game as an opportunity, a training session to beat Golden State. It wasn't just to get home court advantage, it was to get there first. And once you do that for the big things, you'll start noticing the small things. LeBron James, why does he get so many points off quick and rolls? Was it just because of his athleticism? No, it's because of that wave dribble, the hesitation he does, that gets him a step in front of his defenders. Golden State, they're always getting 5 easy buckets every game from backdoor cuts. Why? They're watching their defender. As soon as they see something that allows them to get an open basket, they're cutting. Those cuts lead to their shooters being open. Their shooters cutting really hard leads to those backdoor cuts. Kobe Bryant, Klay Thompson. Why are they the best defenders in the game? Yeah, they have really good physiques and bodies. They've worked on that to get there, but they've also done the homework on their players. They know the tendency of the player in front of them. They also challenge the refs, and they're at this next level where others aren't, where they're actually challenging the refs to make calls, right? Klay Thompson at the beginning of his game, he'll make his way out there. He'll put his hands up. He'll be like, I'm not in the shooter's space, but by the end of it, he's doing Zaza Pachulia shit, right? Really knocking people over. Even as they're shooting, the refs don't care. And that's the next level where this mindset can really help you guys out in becoming the strongest players on the court, being able to pick yourselves up. Now, in basketball, in athletics, there's 4 stages of athletics competency, they call it, right? The first stage is unconscious incompetence, when you're completely uncoordinated, you have no idea what you're doing. Think a Joey's player, pretty much. Then you have conscious incompetence, you know what you're doing wrong, but you can't fix it. Then you have conscious competence, where you're starting to think, and you're knowing which things you need to do right to get that shot in. And then you have unconscious incompetence, where you're able to make those shots and make it a habit. Now in level 3 to level 4, that's where you get your motor synaptic plasticity working. That's where you get muscle memory forming. You don't have to step all the way back and completely start again with your shot if you think you've got a bad one to completely change it around. You just got to think for the first few sessions. It takes a few weeks to develop that. You guys right now, at your age, are at a stage where it does develop quickly. But once you get beyond this, once you guys formulate your skills and you get there, you get to a stage where you guys can control this. And once you do, you become the strongest, best players possible. So let's question that idea of momentum. Let's question that idea of confidence. Because when you think about it, all that is your perception of how you're playing at this moment, how your team's going, and how you've been getting your baskets. But why can't you be someone who always looks forward and always finds that better way of looking at things? I did it with my cancer, but trust me, when I did it, it didn't take bravery, courage, balls, not even willpower. Right? When I take a step back, I question all the paths in front of me, it only becomes logical that I take the path going forwards that leads me happiest and healthiest, that leads me to the highest chance of success. So how do you guys practice this yourselves? You work off the court to make your on-court performance better. So before you go out there and you make a turnover, think about how you're going to respond to it. You know, Ben may be screaming at you, your teammates may put their heads down, but use that frustration you have to get back on defense, to make that turnover nothing, and then bring the ball back off the court later on. I mean, that's 10 times more powerful, right, than you stuffing up and letting a basket go. You not even caring, making a big deal out of it and walking back up the court. Like, that's huge. If someone in the opposition's team, if they've got some man-child who can 360 windmill dunk, who's in the Aussie team and you guys are scared of it, well, why are we looking at that as, you know, someone who's just going to run us over and make our game really hard, when it's also an opportunity to prove to ourselves that we can play at their level? And you know what? That guy, he's never been challenged before. He's used to getting his way. So get up in on his face. Lock him up at the beginning. When he makes a shot, just whatever. When he misses, that's when you scoff and you walk past. You'll be able to get to that level where you mind playing the opposition as opposed to pulling yourself all the time. As you keep doing this process, it becomes automatic. How else do you make it better? You work off the court to help your basketball on the court. And your basketball, once you get confident of that, helps you off the court. If you're scared before an exam, you're worried, you're nervous before asking that girl out, well, take a step back and ask yourself what that stress and worry is doing. It's doing nothing but making you less likely to, get that exam finished. It's making you less likely to get that booty. But what you guys want to do is actually focus on what you can actually get from this. Why don't we do that? It means next time you're going up, you've got 4 seconds left and you've got to take that shot. Instead of being worried about how you'll miss and what that'll mean for your, standing on the ladder, you'll be thinking about the glory you can make. You'll be thinking about your team, how you're going to celebrate after this. And, that kiss you're going to get from that girl, right? You'll be keen to take that next stop. There's no reason why you guys can't develop a Mamba mentality, right? But sometimes, this mindset won't work. We're human. And depression, it's a very real thing. It's something that I went through a couple years ago, and I really didn't want to continue with life for a little bit. It completely changed me. That's me, someone who's done this for a while. There's other things as well when we lose big things, when we lose big games, when we lose family members. We can't help but be human at that point. And when there is 40 seconds left, the 5 points down, we can't help but feel a little bit hopeless sometimes. But here's the thing, you guys don't have to always do that, because you'll have another 4 players on the court. You'll have 5 players on the bench. You'll have Ben, and you'll have 1,000 other out there watching you. One of them will have the words to pull you up. And that's something else that we high boys will always have, that the others don't. And that's each other. All right, guys? So put your hands in. Let's do it. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right.